Hi, how's it going? So I looked at the analytics on my previous video and I noticed that most people just watch the Windows installation. So I'm going to stick with Windows for this series. Let me know if you'd like to see Mac. All right. So the next fundamental that we're going to look at is Webpack. Now, like I said in the previous video, there are two benefits to Webpack, two effects. One is it can take complex interlocking dependencies and bounce them down to a single ugly but functional JavaScript file. And the other benefit is that it will transpile our TypeScript back to JavaScript. So to start with, I want to make a reasonably complex program. Well, website. Not reasonably complex, but you know, like not just hello world. So link in description. But here we have this. I'm going to make a decimal to hexadecimal converter. I'll just open this up. Oops. And here we have it. It's very simple. It just we're going to put a number in here in decimal, and it's going to convert it into binary, then group it into sets of 4, and then convert those to numbers 0 to 15, and then put it out as a final hexadecimal number. Okay, so let's create some JavaScript in order to achieve this. Just make some folders here. Oops, not files, folders. So we'll go make the source code, and then inside the source code, we'll have a program called hexverter, and then inside there we're going to make a main.js. Okay, so again, the point of this video is not my implementation of the program. Oh, that shouldn't be there. Not till later. Okay, so here we have this hex lookup, which is an array. For any position between 0 and 15, we'll have a corresponding digit. Then I'll make a function which converts a decimal number to binary, and this will do it as a string. So what we'll do, essentially, the algorithm is we just keep halving and reducing the number, and then this will generate the powers of 2, but then we need to reverse that. And I'm going to output it as a string. Okay. Then I'm going to make a possibly overcomplicated function, which will group the binary together. So say we have a number like, what is it? 5 is 101 in binary. I want this to say, okay, say we've got this as a list or something. I want this to say, okay, get 101 and add padding. And say we have a different number like, just make up a random number. Then what it will essentially do is group it into sets of 4. So go, okay, yep, there's 4. That's one element in our array. That's another 4. That's another 4, and then fill in some padding. So this just gets it into things. Anyway, check out the code if you're interested. But essentially what we do is some stuff, some business. Okay. And then I'm going to go binary to hex. So say we have a number like 1011. I want to go, okay, this will be 1 times 8 plus 0 times 4 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 1. And that's what we're doing here. We're just doing powers, just bearing in mind that the digit we start at will be a power of 3. 2 to the power of 3 is 8, and then it's reducing, so it's kind of doing it in reverse order. But yeah. Anyway, so we have our basic functions there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of the elements from the document, from the web page. So I have the input field for the decimal, the button we click to convert. So I'm calling these things steps, and they're essentially just labels that can hold results. And then a final hexadecimal output there. And these IDs match with the page. I defined a bunch of IDs for each of these elements. I also defined classes. For instance, we might want to apply CSS styling, or we might like it. Where are we? We might like it this way. I like it this way. Anyway. Right, so then we essentially, we just need to create some behavior. So this kind of is a single function that ties it all together. This is my click function. It takes no input, and its effect is, we go through here. We take the value from the decimal input, convert it to a number, and turn it into a string with the binary there. Then we kind of set up our labels. We have grouped, then we get the list of groups. That's segmenting it, partitioning it into 4 digits, and then looping through and sticking that together with spaces in between, and then set that as the text for the grouped binary step. And yeah, I mean, you can see here, like I said, this is not a hexadecimal conversion tutorial. This is a JavaScript tutorial, which is why I'm copy pasting a lot. Okay. And then finally, what we need to do is we need to take that click function and set it as the action for that conversion button. So when we click it, it listens for that event and fires off the thing. Okay, so we'll go to our index.html, and yeah, we have source hexverter main.js. Okay, so that should be functional actually. Let's try that out. So we'll go 5. Uh-oh, that's not good. Oh, wrong one, sorry. That's the, that's not the one that I'm working on right now. Okay, let's go 5. And there we have it. Convert it to binary, add some padding, convert that. Okay, let's go 197. So we have that binary, group it, and then convert each of these individual binary sections and then stick it together. 255. Again, group it. And I don't know, let's do a random number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we group it, add some padding, get it to hexadecimal, and there we have it. It's nice, it works. Okay, so this is kind of a naive implementation because I've got the whole thing as a single, got the whole thing as a single script, which is okay, but if we're making a really big program, it might be more complicated than that. Certainly when we start doing the WebGPU stuff, it'll be more complicated than this. So what we'll do is we'll go to Hexverter, and inside that we'll add a function called library. And inside the library, I'll add, what do we have? Conversions.js will hold the functions for our conversions, our number conversions. So that is this group binary and the binary to hex. Great. Okay, let's add another file to our library, and that will be, I'll call it formatting. Because this operation, which takes the list of the binaries, the string, what's going on here? And partitions it, is essentially doing, a formatting operation. So just define this in a separate file. Okay, great. And then this hex lookup. Just go new folder, call it constants. I'll call that lookups.js and put that there. Okay. So this looks okay, I think. We could, well, if we want to start critiquing code, this could definitely be a lot more clean, but I found out recently that JavaScript is actually faster when you just make it look dirty, or at least that's my understanding of it. So, all right, now what we need to do is we need to import all of these. Okay, great. So you can see here I have to be careful about my order, or not super careful, but the more complicated this was, the more careful I would have to be about the dependencies here. We have to do it in the right order. Now, if we run this, it still does work. But again, like I said, the first benefit of Webpack is being able to take all of this and bounce it down into a single file and not having to worry about that. So I'll just get command prompt open. There we are. Okay. And what we'll do is we will go, okay, npm install Webpack and Webpack command line interface. Okay, so we have this set up. We have Webpack. That is great. Now let's go here and we don't need to worry about this index.js. That's fine. I'm going to add an extra script here. So we're going to install missing dependencies, and I'm also going to have a build script, and this will run Webpack. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create this in a second, but we'll need to tell Webpack where its configuration file is. And I'll do that here. And I'll also add build to my start script. So I'll say npm run build and then start the server. Okay, so let's make a config file. This is going to be in the root folder here. So we'll make this and we'll go create that. Now what we'll do is we'll go this module exports description is basically describing how Webpack will run. We'll specify a few things. We'll specify an entry point, which will be in the current directory under source, and then in our case, hex verter, and then that main.js. So this is the entry point that Webpack looks for when it starts bundling things together. Then the output is an object. We have a file name. The output is also going to be called main.js. And then we'll have a path. Oops, not a patch, a path. And essentially, it will be our current path inside a new folder called dist, which stands for distribution. So we'll say, okay. So this require path just kind of gets the gets the current working directory, essentially. And what we'll do is we will call resolve, it's double underscore, directory name, and the subfolder is dist. And there we have it. Okay, so just lining this up. Yep, so we've created that config file, and that is being called here. So this should more or less work. So what we can do is we can fire up command prompt, and we can just go, just to test, npm run build, fingers crossed. Okay, it seems a little strange, but all right, fine. So we've got something. Now if we go to distribution, main.js, as you can see, it essentially minifies our stuff. But this isn't working yet. So as we can see, all of the code should be bounced down into one file. We have get element by ID and all this stuff, but we haven't got access to those other libraries. So what we need to do, I'll just go to the index.html, remove all of this, and then when this is working, we want to be running dist main.js. Okay. Just close that down for now. It is okay. So what we'll do is we'll go to lookups, for instance, and we need to use ES6 export and import statement. So we're going to export this out, and we're going to export all of these. And then main.js is pretty much going to run the show here. And so we need to import these things. So we're going to import Hex Lookup from library constants lookups. And similarly, going to import, what is it? No. Conversions has decimal to binary. And I want to say binary to hex. Is that it? Yeah, binary to hex. Okay, good. We're getting that from library conversions, and binary from okay, cool. So in theory, this should be working. So now we'll go back, we'll build it. Okay. So then if we go back to the output here, we can see, yeah, we've got the like the lookup table, we've got our functions, and it's really messy, it's really ugly, but it is efficient. So now we can go back and open up that index.html, and we have, just like before, we hit 1, 2, 3, and nothing happens. A little scary when that happens. So now we inspect, and it says uncaught reference error, binary is not defined. That's a little strange, and it can be very frustrating when these sorts of random errors occur. The problem is, it was working just fine before. However, Webpack is a little stricter. So see here we have binary, and we have not really done anything with it. If I just have a look at this, all I'm really doing, it seems, is reading binary. So I can declare this as a constant variable. Temporary string is actually being written a bunch of times, so we just call that a variable. Grouped binary is essentially just being read, so we can set that as a constant, and hopefully that's working now. So we can go back, build it, it works, it's all good. Now reload the web page, 1, 2, 3, and it's working just the same as it was before. Now, just to confirm, we can run the full thing. So we can go npm run, npm start. That installs any packages, or really just checks that we've got them. Then it does the Webpack stuff, and then it starts the server. So we can grab this, load that up. Again, this is one of those things. It seems to be taking longer than it should, really. And well, we'll say running the server at the moment is optional. We can see that all we need to do is open up the HTML file and everything's loading. It's loading the correct script and everything's working. I'll leave that for now. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this session. Basically what we did is we just started to, hit Control-C to stop the server. So why isn't that stopping this? Oh, there we go, server stopped. All right, great. Hopefully you enjoyed this session. Today we just zeroed in on Webpack and looked at how we can use it to kind of minify and handle our JavaScript dependencies. In the next session, we're going to be looking at using Webpack to transpile TypeScript into JavaScript. And then we'll kind of have our stack ready to go and we'll be able to start actually looking at WebGPU code. Hope you had fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.